who still insist that we Muslims have the right to take the greatest cathedral, the focal point, the Qibla, so to say, of the Christian world, the Orthodox Christian world, the Hagia Sophia. Well, let's remove the word Qibla. The most important cathedral of the Orthodox Christian world, Hagia Sophia in Constantinople, which had functioned as their most important cathedral for 1,000 years, that we Muslims had the right to take that cathedral and convert it into a masjid. My talk this morning is meant for those Muslims who still hold on to this view. Many of them are in Turkey, many of them are in the Balkans, and other parts of the world as well. And I asked myself, on the basis of what law, on the basis of what divine guidance have you come to this conclusion? And they reply invariably, and they say it's the law of war in Islam. The law according to them, not to me, according to them. The law of war in Islam is that if you wage a war, which you consider to be a just war, and you defeat the enemy, who you consider to be your enemy, then you have the right, when you take control of his territory, you have the right to take his church or his temple or his synagogue or whatever it is and converting it into a masjid. That is what the law of Islam says. If that is so, according to you, according to me, that's wrong, that's false, that is in conflict with the Quran. But that's a different matter. We're not going to discuss what the Quran says now. We're talking about what you say, what you believe, that your law of Islam gives you the right to take Hagia Sophia, which is the most important cathedrals for them, the Orthodox Christians, and convert it into a masjid. Good. I want to say to you that now you have a predicament, and I can't help you with your predicament. Israel conquered Jerusalem and the rest of the Holy Land in the War of 1967. Israel prior to that did not have any kind of control over Jerusalem. They had a control over one part of the Holy Land, but in 1967 they took over all, except that the world did not recognize Israeli legal right over Jerusalem. No. The Security Council of the United Nations organization refused to extend that legal recognition. No, Jerusalem and the status of Jerusalem is not, according to the Security Council of the United Nations, is not vested with Israel. And so Israel could not claim Jerusalem as its capital and succeed in that thing. But lo and behold, the US Congress, some many years ago, had a resolution adopted that recognizing Jerusalem as Israel's capital. And every US president simply kept on postponing and postponing the de facto entering into force of that resolution, until came a schoolboy named Donald Trump. And now he has extended de facto recognition of Israel as Jerusalem's capital. And I think Guatemala has said, okay, we are also going to do the same now. And it is inevitable, I believe, that using the power of money and their control over money and the monetary system, that they will force the submission of many, many countries, including some of those in the Western world, to recognize Jerusalem as the capital of Israel and to extend formal diplomatic recognition of Israel itself. It's only a matter of time. But as Israel advances more and more to gaining what she wants, international recognition of Jerusalem as Israel's capital, eventually Israel will be able to say to the world, we now have legal recognition of Israel as our capital. We are legally entitled now to do what we want in in Jerusalem, sorry. We now have legal recognition of Jerusalem as our territory. So we now are moving towards that position where we have the right to do whatever we want to do in Jerusalem. It's our territory. We've conquered it. At that time, Israel can say, but according to law of war in Islam, according to the law of war in Islam, your law of war, we have the right to take Masjid al-Aqsa, your Masjid al-Aqsa, and transform it into our temple of Solomon. At that time, I ask you, those of you who are obstinately insisting that we have the right to do what we did with the Cathedral of Hagia Sophia, I want to know, what answer will you have for Jerusalem? What answer will you have to give to Israel tomorrow? That is my question to you. Israel will have the right, according to you and your bogus law, Israel will have the right to take Masjid al-Aqsa and convert it into a Jewish temple, and there is nothing you can do to say that Israel is wrong in doing that. Yes, that is your awesome predicament. That is the foolish corner in which you have placed yourself because of your obstinate insistence, despite reason and common sense, and despite the Quran, and despite the Sunnah, of your foolish decision that yes, you have the right to take Hagia Sophia and convert it into a masjid. On Judgment Day, you'll have to answer to Allah for that. I'm warning you, every single one of you who in your heart and on your lips, you have declared and you continue to declare that we have the right to do what we did with Hagia Sophia. Most of you in Turkey. This little rocking chair talk is meant for you, not for the rest of all of Islam, which is waking up now. All over the world we are waking up now to recognize that what the Ottomans did in taking Hagia Sophia and converting it to a masjid was disgraceful. We are recognizing it that it was shameful. We are recognizing that it was sinful. And we are saying to the Orthodox Christian world that when we conquer Jerusalem, when we conquer Constantinople, as prophesied by Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, we will return Hagia Sophia to you, and we'll offer an apology to you. That is us on this side of the fence. This Islam, not you. And so today's rocking chair talk is to warn you. I'm warning you that on Judgment Day you will have to answer. You better make Tawbah before it's too late. You better wash all that brainwashing for 600 years and make Tawbah before it is too late. Your brother Imran Hussein is talking to you. I'm not talking with venom and hostility and hatred in my heart to you. I'm talking with tears in my heart to you, because you're my brothers and sisters. Make Tawbah. Your argument that the law of war in Islam permits you to do what you did, that argument will now have to be taken and thrown into a garbage bin when Israel says we have the right to do what you did and take Masjid al-Aqsa and convert it into a Jewish temple. So I ask you, please think. Please go to the Quran, go to Surah Al-Hajj, where Allah has ordered you to protect every temple, every church, every synagogue, every masjid. Allah has ordered you to wage war in Surah Al-Hajj. Wage war to protect it. And you take a cathedral and convert it to a masjid in direct and violent conflict with the Quran. It's time for you to wake up. It's time for you to make Tawbah. It's time for you to come over to this side and join us. We who recognize that that was disgraceful, that was shameful, that was sinful, and that Hagia Sophia should be returned to the Christians. This is your cathedral, and we return it to you, and we offer our apologies to you. And then you will see what Allah has said in the Quran. وَلَتَجِدَنَّ أَقْرَبَهُمْ مَوَدَّةً لِلَّذِينَ آمَنُوا الَّذِينَ قَالُوا إِنَّا نَصَارَى إِلَى آخِرِ الْآيَةِ. You heard me so many times have I been reciting this verse of the Quran to you. You will see before your eyes that these Orthodox Christians are going to come closest in love and affection to us. Yes, when that happens, when the Orthodox Christian world begins to recognize the Quran, yes, we believe that this is the word of the one God, you will jump up and say, now take the Shahada. That's all the sense you have in your head. Instead of saying, Alhamdulillah, thank Allah, that you now have a more positive attitude towards the Quran. And now you have a more positive attitude towards Muhammad alayhi salatu wasalam. Instead of thanking them for that, no, you jump up like some donkeys, take the Shahada, take the Shahada, take the Shahada. Don't you have any sense in your head? Don't you have any wisdom in your head? If I had been following that method that you have, would I be today welcomed with so much respect and love in Belgrade amongst the Orthodox Christians? Have a little bit of wisdom in your head. And stop all of this nonsense. Come on our side. We are acting with wisdom. You are not. We are getting progress on our side. You are not. You are now in the embrace of NATO. And when NATO launches war on Russia, all of you want to go and join NATO to go and fight war on Russia. That's what you're going to do. And get into Jahannam. You're going to end up in Jahannam. Yes, so I'm giving you this little talk from Birmingham, the Rocking Chair Talks, to ask you to think again of your position on Hagia Sophia, because tomorrow there is a moment coming when Israel is going to say, this is your law and we have the right to do what we want to do. Take Masjid al-Aqsa and convert it into a temple. On that day, you'll have nothing to say. We pray that Allah might guide you to the truth and protect you from continuing in your error. Thank you. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.